This is Johnny and Jose with Tiger Bomb MMA, and tonight we'll be going over UFC Fight Night, Rodriguez versus Dern, going over the entire fight card, giving you our thoughts, predictions, possible parlays at the end. Before we do that, I did want to break down the previous event that just happened. We're filming this on Saturday, the night of Walker versus Santos. I'm just going to break down the entire card, giving you pretty much what happened and what we initially picked. The first fight, Alejandro Perez defeats Johnny Eduardo via submission. I did have some money on Eduardo. He was a plus 200. I thought he could do well. He was doing fairly well first round. He even got the takedown, essentially won the round. Second round, ooh, that submission defense of Eduardo was exposed. So good for Alejandro Perez. He didn't look great, but he looked good enough. Second fight, I picked Stephanie Egger. She gets defeated by Oh no, I'm sorry. I picked Shayna Young. She gets defeated by Stephanie Egger. Egger did not look great. Shayna Young definitely didn't look great. She didn't look like the girl that fought Macy Chalson. But yeah, good for Egger. It was pretty much a nothing fight, 50-50, whatever. Next fight, Douglas Silva de Andrade defeats Gaetano Perillo. First round knockout. Beautiful, beautiful knockout. Did not expect him to knock out that quickly, but he did his job. We'll see if they give El Tigre another shot. Hopefully, I think he can win in the UFC, but they're giving him pretty tough competition. Next up, Jamie Mullarkey defeats Devontae Smith. Had a play on him at like plus 135. He pulled it through. What I've been saying, man, Jamie Mullarkey is the type of guy. He is so unassuming. He's slow. He is like, I don't know, man. He's the Homer Simpson of that division. Well, minus Justin Gaethje, but yeah, Devontae Smith was beating his ass the first round, but then Jamie Mullarkey does what Jamie Mullarkey does, and he tires you out after you beat his ass, and then he rips to the body. Man, that was beautiful. Made me a little bit of money, so that was great. Next up, Carol Rosa defeats Betch Correia. I have to say, man, I felt really bad for Betch because it was her retirement fight. Of course, she wasn't going to win. Carol Rosa did exactly what she needed to. I had her to win by a decision, so I had Rosa by decision. Pulled it off, got me a bit of money. That was nice, but it sucks to see Betch go. I'm a little sentimental when it comes to her. Like she beat two of the four horsewomen, so it sucks to see Correia leave like that. But it was her time. Casey O'Neill destroys Antonina Shevchenko. Ooh, I don't want to say too much about this one when it comes to the performance of Casey O'Neill. I'll just say she got the job done. I don't know who they're going to match her up with next. She's on a pretty nice win streak. Antonina, man, she has not been pulling through. She looked a lot better in this fight. She even took what was it? The crucifix position on O'Neill for a bit, but it wasn't enough, man. Casey O'Neill, I'll tell you that she is very aggressive when it comes to just her overall game. She may not be the most skilled girl, but when she gets on top of you, she knows how to finish a fight. So good for her. Jared Gordon defeats Joe Selecki decision. Some people were saying no, Selecki should easily win this one, but no, Jared Gordon. I love it when I'm fucking right because Jared Gordon did exactly what I thought he was going to do. He was going to just be out toughing Joe Selecki. He even took him down, controlled him for a bit. Was it a split decision? I can't remember if it was split, but he did exactly what I thought he would. I didn't bet him straight because I'm an idiot, but yeah, he did exactly that. Joe Selecki, he has a lot to work on, primarily his cardio, his striking. He has to be more comfortable on the feet. But Gordon's tough. Don't underestimate him. We'll see who they match these guys up with next in the future. Hernandez defeats Mike Breeden, first round knockout. Did not expect anything less from this fight. So we'll see if Mike Breeden gets another fight. I think he has some good qualities that can get him a win in the UFC, especially at lightweight. He's a pretty tall dude, trains out of Glory MMA and Fitness, but Hernandez did exactly what he needed to. Pretty brutally, he knocked him out. Jotko defeats Serkinov. This is one of those weird fights because I think we both picked Jotko to win this one on paper, but I actually took a shot on Serkinov because I saw him in the weigh-ins. He looked okay. He didn't look like he was dying. He didn't look like featherweight McGregor. But yeah, that was a terrible fight, man. Both of these guys just did not perform. Jotko didn't do enough for me to think that he easily won the fight because I'm going to say Serkinov looked kind of shit. He could not get the takedowns. I will say this: Jotko looked decent enough, but it was more because Serkinov looked pretty crap. Third round was really mostly Serkinov until I think the later round. I don't want to talk about it. This one really didn't show me much. I think Serkinov we'll see. I don't know if they'll keep him, but that was a weird one. Nico Price defeats Alex Oliveira. I can't really comment too much on this one. It wasn't the crazy barn burner we thought it was going to be, mostly grappling. Uh, 2 rounds to 1 for Nico Price. Yeah, a bit disappointing on that one. Very disappointed in the co-main event, Kyle Dawkins versus Kevin Holland. Straight up, full disclosure, I had most of my parlays with Kevin Holland. So I was really counting on him to win. He was looking decent in the first round with the takedown defense, and it ended in the no contest because of the headbutt. And it's hard to say had I been on the right end of that initial finish, because Kyle Dawkins hit him with the headbutt, accidental clash. They hit the ground, a bit of a scramble. Kevin wakes up, then he gets choked out, and that was it. It was initially considered a tap out and a win for Kyle Dawkins. It got reviewed. Honestly, though, that was pretty damn brutal for Kevin Holland to get knocked out like that. I know I was just watching the press conference with him, and he essentially said, like, street rules. He knocked me out and he choked me out, so I consider that a loss. But, officially it's a no contest. I think it's the right decision. It sucks for Kyle, though, that he ended up, in those circumstances, but I think it's the right call. Like, if a guy goes out like that from an accidental headbutt, it's kind of fucked up to give the other guy a win, especially the way it played out. And then Thiago Santos defeats Johnny Walker in a horrible main event, man. 3-round decision. I remember saying the only way this thing goes to decision is if these two guys meet in the back and come up with an agreement. Seems like that's what they fucking did, because this was, God, brutal, man. Johnny Walker, Jesus, Irish Johnny Walker is not the guy, man. He looked so, I don't want to say he was timid. All right. I don't want to say the word timid, because I don't think he was afraid of Thiago. It was more of the game plan that they had. Not Edmund, the Irish Edmund is what they call him, but John Kavanagh was really giving him bad advice. I initially thought, man, if these two guys combust in the ring, it's a 50-50 fight when it comes to the potential for a knockout. It got to the point that I didn't even watch the rest of the fight. I just saw that Thiago won because he was being interviewed. I don't even know what the scorecards were, but I did put a bit of money on Johnny Walker to win by knockout. I think the odds were pretty solid, but yeah, that went to trash. But I think our official pick was Thiago Santos, which is not surprising, but a decision. Oh, I don't know where these two guys go from here, because if this is the new Johnny Walker, I don't want to see him anymore. And if Thiago Santos cannot knock out the chinny Johnny Walker, then I don't know where he's going to go from this point. But those were my thoughts. Jose, did you have any thoughts on these?
Just a few. This wasn't the greatest card. And I actually wanted to, I preferred doing some reading rather than watching most of the card. Yeah, I prefer just going to my library of books and rereading Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut. Pretty damn good book. Besides that, few thoughts. Carol Rosa, she needs to kick it up a notch, man, because if you're barely getting past Betchko, the rest of the bantamweight division, it's not going to get any easier. And it looks like Valentina has her next opponent in Casey O'Neill. It's become somewhat of a, hey, you beat my sister, I got you next sort of thing. So, Jared Gordon, I wasn't surprised that he won, but I actually did not bet on him. I thought, honestly, the closest fights I thought were Jamie and Devontae. All the women's fights. No, actually, no. Stephanie Egger, I was surprised there that she won by knockout. That was insane. But the main card I got mainly right, because I did choose Jotko. I just didn't bet on him because I thought, hey, maybe Misha's going to pull it out. But I think Jotko, despite the fight being lackluster, I think he just has slightly better technique, better strikes. Let's see. Yeah, the Nico Price, I was, I thought he's at least going to get 2 rounds. I was pretty disappointed in the co-main. But at least now I know if they actually do rematch, Holland, if he gets on the ground, he's in deep shit. Because Dawkins is I'm probably going with Dawkins next time. Because Dawkins is gonna, jiu-jitsu fuck him on the ground. and probably get that submission that Jacare didn't get. I don't think he'll knock out. I don't think it wasn't luck, it was skill, but Doc I think is on another level than Jacare. When Holland fought Jacare, not that like Jacare from 6-7 years ago would have beat the shit out of Holland and submitted him in the same fight. Main event, it was just as expected. John,
you said just as expected. Did you really say that?
Yeah.
I didn't expect that at all.
No, I expected Santos to win I didn't expect him to win. I expected him to get the decision. I didn't think either guy was going to finish another, because they were both pretty timid. Irish Irish Johnny Walker.
No, man.
Irish Johnny Walker and the Armenian, what's his name? The Irish Edmund Tarvedian, or whatever the fuck his name is. That's pretty damn funny. That's the first time I've heard that. This guy Johnny Walker, man, as I thought, in our personal conversations, I've called him the R word. Because rightly so, man. This guy is, he's got all the potential. He's got the physical attributes to become, a superstar. But he's just one goofy bastard. He keeps making these stupid mistakes. It's like he thinks, oh yeah, just because this guy trained, McGregor at one point, he's going to do the same for his career. Nah. He needs to find, guys that are, a place where they're going to go over the fundamentals with him, because he needs that, as well as, get him to release the beast, release the Kraken, however the hell you want to put it. Because once he does that, he has the skills, he has the physical attributes to, I think, beat anybody in that division. But he's honestly, I think he's the one holding himself back at this point. As far as Santos, I think he's done, man. If he does go against Jiri, I think I'm going with Jiri, the knockout prop in that fight for sure.
Oh yeah. Charlie, last Halloween, he got knocked out by Kevin Holland. He got slammed on his neck and he had to do a verbal tap out. Now, what's interesting about this one is that it's taking place at lightweight. So Charlie Ontiveros, the black belt in Taekwondo, purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu. He mainly is a striker, right? He does that Taekwondo. He's very much like a lesser version of Wonder Boy with his stance. So he's a very dangerous guy. Not to take any credit away from Charlie, but he has been knocked out a lot of times. His record is 11-7. Come back on Steve Garcia, he's 11-4. Now, I had some issues going back and forth because I do see a way that Charlie could potentially get a knockout, especially going in a lighter weight class. My biggest concern with him is, again, he's been knocked out a lot, right? He's taken a lot of punishment. And Steve Garcia, he's a swanger and a banger, man. He trains out of Jackson Wink. A dude's just like a tough Mexican guy, man. It's he's never even been knocked out either. So I know if one of his bombs connects, one of those swinging bombs connects on Charlie, it could be night out, right? He's done. But Charlie, there's a way he could win this fight, staying on the outside, just spamming kicks to Steve, right? Steve is no slouch. So I think this one's a very good fight between two prospects. Let's not say the word prospects. Two young guys in the UFC that could potentially down the line, continue fighting in the UFC. It's just we'll see how these match out. We got a really tough guy, but he's not incredibly skilled in Steve Garcia. He's got some decent takedowns, decent striking. Mainly I don't want to say he's sloppy, but he does swing a lot, but it's fairly effective. And Charlie's striking is more pretty and technical. It's just more so his chin. So it's really, really tough. I see this one as a fight similar to Jamie Pickett versus the Beverly Hills Ninja. Just that there's a guy that is a whirlwind of offense in the Beverly Hills Ninja, Jordan Wright, and Jamie Pickett. He's a very strong guy, and if he lands, it's over. So it's something like that. It's very, very iffy. I'm going to go with Steve Garcia. I think he can actually eventually catch the chin, but I wouldn't be surprised if Charlie does, stick to a game plan, stay on the outside, throw a bunch of pretty kicks. It's just, again, it's a ticking time bomb. He's a very much so a glass cannon type of offense, right? He's super, super offensive, but if he gets touched once, he just crumbles. So we'll see what happens. I'm not incredibly confident, but I think the money. Actually, I didn't even read the odds. The odds currently have it at, apologies, fellas and ladies. The odds have it in favor of Steve Garcia minus 310. Damn. Comeback on Charlie is plus 240. I mean, if you want to take a shot at plus 240 on Charlie, just remember he's dropping down in weight again. I know he's fought in lightweight multiple times. It's just that that chin does scare me. He is going to possess the longer reach by 3 inches and going to be taller by 2. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Steve eventually gets the knockout. So potentially going with that knockout prop or just a finish from Steve wouldn't be too bad. So I'll go with Steve to win by I'll say, realistically, second round knockout. I think he might have trouble in the first and then eventually catch him in the second.
Before I actually get into this fight, one thing, one very curious thing that I don't usually pay attention to, but I did notice from the Maheta Johnny Walker fight, from the card in general. And I don't usually pay attention, but like I said, I found it very interesting that most, if not all, the fights, the fighter with a better record won. It's not always the case, but that's, something I usually pay attention to. But like I said, it doesn't always have an effect on the fight, but very interesting for stat, if you're into stats or whatnot. So I don't know if that's going to translate over here. It very well might, since Steve Garcia, just going forward, for Steve Garcia, that could mean, he's going to get the W here. But this is, I think the odds are juiced. I finally, after watching a bunch of betting videos and whatnot, actually on the NFL on YouTube, I finally understand what juiced means. And it's similar to
what we're trying to do with the MVP line.
Yeah, well, similar to what John Jones used to do before USADA, or actually no, similar to what John Jones still does, and USADA, covers it up, and the UFC and whatnot, they cover shit up for that guy all the time. Just like, when the headlines this past weekend were John Jones hits woman, it's like, what do you mean woman? That was his fucking fiance. Anyway, this is, to me, this is closer to a coin flip fight. I'm going to personally stay away from it. I don't see any value in it. It isn't like, oh, Steve Garcia's, he's a wrecking machine. Minus 300 is way too much. So, if you want to sprinkle a little bit on the KO prop, by all means, but this should not be. This is going to be one of those parlay killers, in my opinion, because
yes,
there is a chance. I think Charlie. What the hell? Despite his nickname, Charlie does have a chance here. I wouldn't necessarily count him out. So this is definitely a fight to stay away from. It's juice way too high. Should be a lot closer. Should be like no more than minus 150, I would say, for Steve. But 2 plus 200. It's like, and I know it's tempting, but it's like, oh man, there's value in Charlie. There's really not value in either guy here, so stay away from it.
Chinny Charlie over here.
Yeah.
So are you picking officially Garcia then?
I'm going with Steve Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
But as an actual pick, but I doubt I'll put him into, like, I'm not. I have my degenerate urges under control now, so I'm not going to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna, put 50% of my bankroll on Steve here.
The Bengals.
Oh yes. No, not the Bengals, man. I wasn't walking like an Egyptian. You're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes.
Yes, that was the Miracle in Cincinnati, as I like to call it, Thursday night.
Oh man, let's not talk about it. I'm still salty. fucking 3.5. Oh, let's score a field goal. Oh my god. But let's move on before I get pissed. Next fight, strawweight, Lupita Godinez versus Sam Page, Sam Hughes. And I'll read the odds. It's minus 200 for Lupita, come back on Sam Hughes plus 160. I don't have much to say about this other than Lupita should destroy Sam. I don't think Sam belongs in the UFC. I don't often say that about fighters, but really, like after just rewatching tape on Sam, I don't see a way she can win. She is outgunned everywhere. Lupita is the stronger fighter. She's got the better hands. She's fought the better competition. She's been in tougher situations and fought out of them. She fought a veteran and former champion in Jessica Penne, which she arguably could have won, other than like, how you score a fight. I didn't go back and rewatch it. I know at that time I had her to beat Jessica, but it was really close. I'm not going to bitch about it, but I think it was close enough to me to say, you know what? She arguably beat a former champion. She was tossing her around incredibly easily. She fights she fights very well. She fights like a Mexican. I'll put it to you that way. For Sam Hughes, her fight with Tisha Torres, I'm not going to put too much stock in that, but she got completely outclassed. And her fight with Loma Lukbumi, man, it was not looking good. She of course got outstruck. She didn't look completely awful. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that she's like the worst fighter. Like she looked, I don't know how to put it, but she had at least one good moment where she landed a punch on Luke Boomy. It wasn't like effective, but it looked pretty. Like, oh wow, it was pretty nice for a girl who I don't consider to be UFC caliber. It's like that was pretty impressive. But I think Lupita's gonna just beat the crap out of her. I don't know if it's going to be a knockout or if it's going to be a submission. I'm leaning more towards a decision, like a complete utter domination. Because Sam, I'll give her that, she is tough, but I do have her to win at those odds of 200. It's I might add her in a parlay. I don't see a way she's going to lose this one. I know they both have similar records, 5-1 for Godinez. Comeback on Hughes is 5-3, and it could be a parlay killer, but I'm going to take a shot. I think she's just the better fighter, and I think she's learned from her loss to Jessica Penne. And I just see her tossing around, man. She's going to be the stronger girl in there. So Lupita Godinez, I'm going to say decision.
I won't waste much time on this. I'm also going with Lupita. Getting beat by the girls that she's gotten, by the girls that she's gotten beat by. Sam Page. Wait, is her? Yeah, that's a bad nickname. I actually like Loma. She's not. I don't think she'll be around the UFC for too much longer. But she's pretty exciting for being what she is. It's and that's just a small Muay Thai fighter, in an MMA world. Getting beat down by Tisha Torres. Yeah, that was bad. Sam is going to be around for long, so enjoy her while you can, I guess.
Next bout, featherweight, Charles Boston Strong Rosa versus Damon the Leech Jackson. And I'll just get this out of the way. This is not the card to make your fortune on, because these fights are, they're iffy. There's maybe a couple that I'm very, very confident in, but when it comes to these overall cards that they've been coming up with before, like, after a main event of UFC 266, they kind of give you like the backwash of what they got, their back catalog. That's why we got Damon Jackson versus Charles Rosa. And
backwash. That's funny.
The odds have it at minus 175 for Jackson. Come back on Rosa plus 145. For this one, this is one of these fights that I see Jackson taking it, right? I think he's I don't want to say the grittier guy. The best way I can describe Jackson, he's a wrestler, he's a grappler, he's very solid on the ground. He's going to have the better attributes, 73-inch reach compared to the 69 for Charles Rosa. He's going to be the taller guy, 5'11 compared to 5'9 for Rosa. And Rosa's tough. Damon Jackson he's tough, but he has chin issues. He's been knocked out. Just recently got knocked out by Elliott Topuria, but consider it an honor to be knocked out by Ilya. Like, it's going to happen. So, I mean, Charles Rosa would get destroyed by Ilya as well, probably submitted by Ilya. And Charles Rosa, I don't think he's ever been submitted. I'm going to go with Damon Jackson. Just a couple of reasons for him. He is, for a guy who's been knocked out so many times, like he has, who, when he started his UFC run, his first stint in the UFC, Didn't really go well. I think he got let go after a draw. And then he went PFL. Then he actually got knocked out uh, by Mavlid. Yeah, he is very aggressive and very tough. He's one of these guys that's like I don't know, like why are you so aggressive, dude? Like chill. Like he doesn't have that kind of like firepower. He's not going to knock you out. He's primarily a grappler. He is tough though. Like his Mirsad Bektik fight got completely thoroughly whooped on the ground. Eventually, like Mirsad always does, he makes a mistake or gets tired, just overextending or overdoing it with the takedowns, just blowing his wad, and then he got caught by Damon Jackson. This is going to be primarily a grappling battle. And we've seen Charles Rosa get completely dominated by wrestlers. Derek Minner did it. And of course, Bryce Mitchell did it. And just recently went to a split with Justin James. Going to a split with Justin James isn't good. Damon Jackson should win this one. Definitely not going to get submitted by Damon Jackson, but I think Damon gets the decision. If it becomes a striking battle where these two guys just duke it out on the feet, there's a chance that Charles Rosa might be able to catch Damon with like he has weird kicks. Charles Rosa does. He does some spins sometimes. But yeah, I think Damon is going to win this one. He is fairly aggressive on the feet, even though he's not the most technical striker. So I think he can win this one. I think again he's more gritty, but he's like maybe I don't know 120 grit opposed to like 80 grit because he is gritty, but he's not that fucking gritty. So I'll go with Damon Jackson to win just by sheer grit, very minimum grit, but sheer grit. Jackson decision.
I'll keep this one short as well. It's not exactly the highest level. Yeah, I think Charles is going to come away on the other side of the W here. I'm pretty sure Damon's going to get at least 2 rounds to 1.
Our next bout at heavyweight, we've got Alexander King Kong Romanov versus Jared the Mountain Vanderaa. And currently we have the odds for Romanov minus 400, the comeback on Jared Vanderaa plus 300. And there's your mismatch you were talking about, Jose. Alexander Romanov versus Jared Vanderaa. I don't have much to say about this other than the fact that, Alexander Romanov, his stock fell with me after that Juan Espino incident where he got lightly tapped on the crotch and he like fell on the ground like his nuts exploded. But I honestly think he should thoroughly defeat Jared Vanderaa. It's not necessarily of what Romanov has to do. It's more of what Vanderaa is not going to do. We know what Alexander's going to do. He's going to toss you in the air. I just thought of like Spirit Airlines. He's going to toss you in the air. You're going to have mileage or whatever. I think I said that already once before, so I'm not going to try to repeat it, but he's going to whip your ass. He's going to take you down, pound you out, Donkey Kong you with those 2 hammer fists. Jared Vanderaa, the thing about Jared Vanderaa, like he made me money against Justin Toff. I think I got him at a plus 120 and he ended up getting that decision, which rightfully so, he won that fight. But even in a win, it was like, what the fuck are you doing, Jared? They were telling him wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. He refused to wrestle. His coaches were telling him wrestle Justin Tafa. He decided to strike with them. Do you understand how stupid that is? I know you could win the fight striking, which he did, but you take the path of least resistance, which is the wrestling, and he completely refused to do that. His fight with Sergey Spivak, he called him out after winning on the Contender Series against Harry Hunsucker. He's like, I want Sergey Spivak. I keep saying Spivak. It's Spivak. And he got his ass beat by him. Spivak did that to him. Alexander Romanov is going to beat the crap out of him. I know Jared has a puncher's chance. I mean, if he lightly taps, if he nut checks Romanov, he might, somehow come away here with his consciousness. But I think Romanov's going to take him down and just pound him out. He's got the weight advantage on him. And again, Jared, he's a wrestler, but he's not the best wrestler. He's a striker. He's not the best striker. He's a smart man, but he's not the smartest man because he's going to make stupid decisions in there against Romanov. Romanov's going to beat his ass. So I got Romanov. I'm going to say round number 1 TKO. Just mostly fading Vanderaa as opposed to betting Romanov. At those odds, I don't want to touch him really unless I'm going to put him in a parlay, which I might. But I will probably like play around with the props to see. I'm thinking it's going to be a TKO. I don't think he'll submit Vanderaa.
Yeah, Romanov. Yeah, he fell off the. I'm off that bandwagon, man. after the way he bitched out his last fight. But I am choosing him to win here, not because I like him or I'm going to enjoy his fight. I just think he, he just has that sort of, there are guys that are like, yeah, I'm a wrestler, but they're not, and then guys like Khabib come along like, no, man, wrestler, brother, from mountains. And then they wrestle fuck the shit out of, guys that are supposed wrestlers. So it's the same thing here. So Jared Vanderaa, I can say, he's a wrestler all day long, but he's not a, Romanov level wrestler, unfortunately. So he's going to use that to tire him out, being that they're heavyweights, practically at the heavyweight limit. He's not going to have the best cardio. So yeah, so I'll be surprised if this goes past the first round. So this is probably going to be one of your parlay picks. And yeah, possibly a TKO. I don't think he'll want to submit him. I think he'll want to make a point after, he bitched out. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows what the hell's on this guy's mind? I don't know if he thought like, yeah, if he lightly taps my nuts, I'll just pretend like, he put a shotgun to my balls and just went to town. Anyway, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, go with Romanov, put him in a parlay if you want. Jared Vanderaa. He's not getting past him.
Next bout at middleweight, Floriano Staropoli versus Jamie the Nightwolf Pickett. And this is loser leaves town match. No doubt about it. Both of these guys, they come into UFC. I think Staropoli has had more success, of course. He actually has UFC wins. Jamie Pickett comes into the UFC from the Contender Series, has a lackluster fight with Tafan and Chukwi, and then he gets knocked out by Beverly Hills Ninja Jordan Wright, which, man, I had to rewatch that fight. I was in Houston for that fight, but I went up to, I don't know, get something, maybe go to the bathroom. I wasn't really paying attention. So I'm like, you know what? I think Jamie Pickett's going to win. I actually had money on Pickett. Like, yeah, I just tapped Jordan Wright on the chin. He'll go straight down. Don't worry about it. And it didn't work out that way. Jamie Pickett got hit with like a whirlwind of attack. Mostly Jamie Pickett's fault. He got hit with those quote unquote Travis Brown elbows that, up against the cage. He gets hit in the head. And it didn't go well for him that night. Staropoli, his last fight, he got grapple fucked all around the cage. He got a tour of the cage, literally. Roman deletes it. He's like, hey, look, here's the door, and here's the other side. It was like, damn. Like, I like Roman, but that was bad. What's even worse is that Staropoli was just like, well, I can't do nothing. Like, yeah, that wasn't good. And the reason for that is because he moved up to middleweight from welterweight, where in welterweight, he was not having a whole ton of success, lost to Muslim Salikov, got his ass beat by Tim Means in a fight that he should have won, but Tim Means displayed a, recovered chin. And he gave it to Staropoli. I think he even dropped him in that fight. This one is tough. And I'll go back to the odds. I don't know if I can't remember if I read them, but minus 200 for Staropoli, come back on Pickett plus 160. And the thing about this one is that it's a dogger pass for me. These two guys need a win in the UFC. More so, I think Jamie Pickett. Well, shit, both of them, really. It's hard to even say who needs it more. Staropoli's on a 3-fight win streak. He definitely doesn't want a losing streak. He doesn't want a 4-fight losing streak. And Pickett, if he loses this one, he's out of a job. And from what he talked about in the Contender Series, like, he really wants to be in the UFC. He wants to support his family. And I think he has a chance to win this one. I think he's going to be the physical guy. He's got the better reach. He's 80-inch reach compared to the 71.5. And frankly, the only way I see Staropoli winning this one is by just bum rushing Jamie Pickett. But I don't think Jamie Pickett's chin is that bad after, getting knocked out by Jordan Wright. I think those were the, I guess, pun intended, the right circumstances for him to get knocked out. The elbows to the side of the head, and then he eventually gets finished off by a knee. And he didn't go out. He got TKO'd. He got hammer fisted from top position. And, it is what it is. It's just more so, I think Pickett, there's some value there. I do not see much value in Staropoli. I know he is a legit guy, but at middleweight, I just don't see him being the more physical guy. I mean, at the very least, Jamie Pickett can just grab a hold of his waist and just walk around the cage with him. and guaranteed to win a decision. So I think Jamie Pickett's going to be very desperate. He's going to be the more guy willing to make it boring. I think Staropoli, he's very aggressive. He can go out there in the first round and try to get the knockout, but I can see him getting taken down by the more stronger guy. And doesn't mean that he's the better wrestler. It's just that he's just going to power him down and hold him there and just lay on top of him. So I'll go with Pickett to win this one. I think he can win it just by a decision. But again, for me, it's dog or pass. I have really no solid opinion on it, other than the fact, I think at +1 something, I'll go with Jamie Pickett to win it. So I'll go with Pickett decision.
Yeah, this is another coin flip fight. I don't have much to say on it just because, Laureano doesn't really belong in the UFC, and Pickett's chin, it's been picked apart. So it's really hard to pick Pickett. Jamie Pickett's is, it's hard not to say pick a lot during Pickett's breakdown, but yeah, this is a fight, you want to stay away from as well. If I have to pick a side, I'll go with Pickett as well, but I do see the potential for the over. I do see him getting a decision. I don't think either guy will be able to finish one another in any way whatsoever. I don't think it's going to be the most exciting card in the fight, and both guys know that their asses are on the line. So I think they're going to be fairly hesitant, to go all in on the action. So I think, like I said, I do see the potential for the over here. So that'd be worth looking into rather than the side, I think.
Our next bout at bantamweight, Chris El Guapo Gutierrez versus Felipe Colares. And currently the odds on this one have it at -280 for Chris Gutierrez. No doubt about it, it's going to go to -300 soon. And to come back on Colares is +220. And interesting bout, primarily because these two guys are both orthodox fighters. His last fight for Gutierrez, he fought Andre Ewell, who was a southpaw. And as we know, Gutierrez has the solid low kicks. And with an orthodox fighter, opposed to the southpaw fighter in Andre Ewell, I think the kick's going to be a lot easier for him to land. Colares, I like Colares. He made me some money against Luke Sanders. I bet him. Can't remember the odds, but for sure plus money. He ended up toughing it out, getting 2 of the 3 rounds. I think even half of round number 2, which he had a significant moment where nearly finished Luke Sanders on the end of the second round, and then he ended up winning the third round, which was like sweet. I think Luke was a pretty heavy favorite, not favorite, but moderate favorite in that fight. And he looked it in the first round. He really hurt Felipe, nearly finished him. And Luke Sanders does what Luke Sanders does. Chris Gutierrez, he's not Luke Sanders. He's not going to gas himself out trying to finish a guy. I think the rightful favorite is going to win this one, Chris. I like Felipe, man. He's tough. He's really tough. And, I always have a soft spot for guys who make me money as an underdog. But I think Gutierrez is going to thoroughly beat him. I think by decision. I mean, those kicks are nasty. His striking is ever improving. When he gets comfortable and in a flow, it's just so beautiful to watch out there. Just the way his kickboxing is, man. Those leg kicks, those low leg kicks are going to be right there for the zombie Colares, man, because he's taken a lot of ass whooping. So there's a possibility he could even get finished in this fight just due to the cumulative damage that Montel Jackson gave him and Luke Sanders gave him in the first round. But again, he's really tough. He's still relatively young. He's 27 years old. I think he'll bounce back. His record right now is a little bit spotty as well. One of those win-loss. But yeah, I think Gutierrez wins this one. I'm going to say by decision. So I've got El Guapo by decision.
Yeah, I'll keep this one short as well. There's not really much to it. Gutierrez's stand-up is what's going to win him this fight. Yes, there is a puncher's chance that Felipe wins, or I don't know, gets him in a guillotine or something, but highly doubtful. I think Gutierrez is going to whip that ass for 3 rounds. I don't know if he'll be able to knock him out, but I think it's worth. I think Gutierrez is probably worth putting in a parlay as well. Adding him to that parlay.
And before we begin the main card, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I really like engaging with just MMA fans in general. I'm really trying to build a channel. I say I'm up like I'm the one. We're up to 193 subscribers. So I'm really trying to reach the 200. It's been about a year since we started this, almost like in November. I think it'll be the anniversary since we started doing the channel. So I really appreciate the support we've been getting in the comments, just general things. um, it was really tough for me to get accustomed to talking in a microphone. So I feel like I've gotten a little better when it comes to that. There's a couple things we want to try in the future, but yeah, man, it's been a pretty hell of a ride for this past year. So I'm glad we're still here and doing this shit, and hopefully, potentially, made you some money with some of our insight. That's all that really matters. But our next bout at middleweight, Phil Hawes versus Deron Winn. And I'll read the odds before I get into this one, as I should. My dumbass always forgets to read the odds sometimes. But Phil Hawes minus 280, Deron Winn plus 220. Deron Winn finally got a win in the UFC. I mean, his second win. He beat Eric Spicely somehow. He beat Antonio Arroyo, but yeah, Antonio's probably not going to be in the UFC anymore. So his two wins would be against the guy no longer in the UFC and a guy that's on the chopping block. So he's still under contract, but maybe not in the UFC anymore. Phil Hawes, I have counted this fucking guy out so many times. I bet against him against Kyle Dawkins, and yeah, didn't pan out. I bet against him against Nasruddin Imavov. It didn't work out. And I bet against him against Jacob Malkoun. And we know what happened there. He knocked him the hell out. This is the first time I'm going to actually take Phil Hawes to win. I mean, Deron Winn, his path to victory is, of course, the wrestling. And I've always been critical with Phil Hawes' gas tank. And my biggest concern with him, like I'll even list it out, Jacob Malkoun, decent enough boxer, good jujitsu, I think a purple belt, takes the ass whooping in the first round, comes back after Phil Hawes is tired, and maybe gets a TKO. Didn't work out. Could not take the ass whooping in the first round, gets knocked out. Nasruddin, same thing. Take the ass whooping, wait it out, get him tired, knock him out. Nearly happened. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not wrong about Phil Hawes. It's just the opponent. And then, yeah, we saw what Nasruddin did to, I can't remember, fucking American Rat Lip. I can't remember his name. Ian Heinisch beat his ass. And Kyle Dawkins, I'm like, all right, this might be the one that actually beats Phil Hawes, because I'm not discounting Phil Hawes' ability. He's got a lot of power, good wrestler, just that gas tank really, really scares me. And his chin is not the best. And he really proved to me in that fight against Kyle Dawkins. I thought Kyle was going to gas him out, and then he's going to take him in the second or third round. Not the case. Kyle gassed out, and Phil's gas tank looked good. And that's like the definitive moment. I'm like, Phil Hawes is one of these guys I'm not going to count out anymore. Maybe he gets knocked out down the line by a certain better striker, a better complete fighter, but I'm not going to second guess his gas tank anymore. He really proved to me in that fight he can really pull it out when he really needs to use his wrestling. When it comes to Deron Winn, he is a very good wrestler. He's undersized though at this weight class, and we've seen it. I mean, he has a way to win. And again, he can tire out Phil Hawes. And knowing my track record with Phil Hawes, this could be the one time that I pick him to win and he loses just out of sheer fucking doughiness from Deron Winn. Like, it's possible. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's not. But I think Phil Hawes is the rightful favorite. I think he's going to destroy Deron Winn. He is not shown to be at that level. And frankly, I think he's just lazy. He should be dropping down to welterweight. He just can't do it because he's what, 5'6", 70-inch reach compared to 6 foot tall, 77.5-inch reach. If Phil Hawes connects, that's going to be it for Deron Winn. He's been rocked before. He's never been officially knocked out, but Phil Hawes can finish him any way he wants, as long again as he doesn't get tired by the onslaught of Deron Winn's takedowns. But man, they're not even that impressive in MMA, because if Darren Stewart is stuffing your takedowns, Phil Hawes is going to stuff your takedowns. I spent too much time on this one. Phil Hawes second round knockout.
Yeah, man. I was like, this isn't a fight to break down. This is somewhat like, um, Curtis Blades versus who is it? Maybe Ngannou, or actually Curtis Blades versus maybe Derek Lewis to a certain extent. Except that Duran Winn, he took to the Daniel Cormier DC, uh, you know, uh, way of cutting weight, which is, which is through either KFC or churches or whatever, DC's favorite fried chicken chain
Popeyes, bro.
is.
It's Popeyes.
Papa, or I don't know, man. I don't know if it's sponsoring DC anymore. But anyway, he's taken the wrong route in his
Did you
MMA
say
career.
the wrong round?
Yeah.
The wrong. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he's 32 years old, and he's too fat to be in at the 185. 185, or maybe he's taking the the Gastelum way, and
Oh man,
he's he's going about it the wrong way. He needs to be cutting weight at 5'6". This guy's gonna get murdered. He's gonna be basically. I see him, trying to gnaw at Megatron's ankles, after a takedown, and hoping to, be able to make something of that, but he's not. He's going to get destroyed. I don't know, man. Javier Mendez needs to get his shit together for Duran Winn, man. He needs to, have a serious talk with him, get him down to. I'm pretty sure he could probably even make lightweight at 5'6". You know what I mean? He's probably too small for welterweight either, for welterweight as well. But I think he would do better at welterweight. He's going to get murdered, and he's not going to go anywhere at middleweight. Anyway, he's getting knocked out by Phil, and yeah, it sucks for Duran.
I was gonna say, I think a kidney stone just popped up in Duran Winn's kidneys when you said drop down the lightweight. He's like, oh,
Probably.
oh man, I see kidney failure happening at lightweight.
He needs to stop being like his hero Ben Roethlisberger, and eat a damn salad every once in a while. Won't kill him.
You know what I'm excited for?
Uh-huh.
I'm excited. I'm super excited to talk about this next fight at flyweight. Maria Agapova versus Sabina Mazo. Oh boy, I'm foaming at the mouth. Currently, Sabina Mazo minus 165. Come back on Agapova plus 135. And oh god, man. Can't even keep a straight face. I do not like this fight. I think it's super close. It's a 50-50 fight. I've not been high on either of these two girls. I was slightly high on Agapova, but you know who else is slightly high? Allegedly Agapova, because she's fucking going out partying with boys and shit instead of training. And that's what's caused the issue with Shayna Dobson, where she got her ass beat as like a minus 1,000. Sabina Mazo, again, I've never been really high on her. She nearly lost to Justine Kish, bearing a high kick that knocked her down and gave her the submission. She lost to Alexis Davis. I faded Mazo in that case. I think I won plus 260 odds on Davis. I can't remember, but gave me some good odds. This one, I'm going to go with Mazo mainly because I think she's more dedicated. From what I've heard, there's rumors out there that Agapova is going out there kind of doing some crazy shit with some stuff that she should not be taking, drugs. But yeah, after that fucking performance against Dobson, there's no way in hell I'm touching her, especially knowing that she's like maybe a 1-round fighter. Maybe she's not anymore. Maybe she's been putting her time in the training room, but man, I cannot bet her. I'm not touching this one whatsoever. It's almost to the point that if I'm wrong in my Sabina Mazo prediction, I'm not even going to count it as a loss. It's like whatever. But I'll go with Mazo. She does have some good tendencies, although she does tend to wait a lot. She has that pretty nice high kick, and her striking is pretty decent. Agapova, I think she has the ability to finish the fight early if she just bum rushes and gets I don't know. I don't think she's gonna get a takedown. She can get a submission. She can just potentially knock out Mazo. It's super close for me. I don't like it. I'm gonna go with Mazo mainly out of spite. I don't think any of you guys are gonna blame me if I do that. So I'll go with Mazo to win this one by a second round TKO. Agapova blows her wad early, and then Mazo takes over. Unexpected. It's not gonna be like Mazo, like it's gonna actively look for the knockout. She's just gonna throw a kick and it's gonna land and it's gonna cause Agapova to fall, stumble, and then there's a TKO. So I'll go Agapova to lose, second round TKO. I'm not even betting Mazo. I'm just betting Agapova to lose, or I'm predicting Agapova to lose by second round knockout.
Yeah, this fight is not worth anybody's time. If I have to pick a side, I'm going against Agapova.
Brilliant.
She really let me down last time. Yeah, that's what I get for betting those heavy favorites that are just our words.
Did you also bet the prop? Because I had her to win by finish, which gave me better odds. I think I bet her in round number 1 to finish, and it was pretty good. But yeah,
no, I just included her on like a really big parlay, and I was like, this be still, you know.
She was the only one I remember right on both of our parlays that
yeah, she really bent me over.
That's what we get. Being stupid.
So stay away from this. This is not worth your money. It's not worth anybody's money. It's not worth anybody's time to watch. If anything, I'd say, I don't know, this goes to decision, but who really cares?
Next bout, flyweight, Tim Elliott versus Matheus Nicolau. Very interesting bout. I actually like this one at flyweight. Tim Elliott, he's got my attention. I've always kind of liked Tim Elliott. His fight with Demetrius Johnson from winning the Ultimate Fighter, getting in there and, having a pretty decent round against some nearly possibly could have submitted DJ, but DJ is DJ. That version of DJ at that time was like, damn, he's unbeatable. Currently, the odds have it at -165. Nicolau come back on Elliott +140, and back to Tim Elliott. I'll bring this up because I did not have an audience. I was talking to my girlfriend at the time. I'm like, oh, if I was Tim Elliott when he was fighting Jordan Espinoza, because I think he was covered in blood, I'm like, I would rub my fucking forehead on Jordan Espinoza's face. And I shit thee not. A second later, 1 or 2 seconds later, he does exactly that. I was like, oh my God, I think Tim Elliott is like one of my new favorite fighters because he some grimy ass shit. I'm like, right on, Tim Elliott. Matheus Nicolau comes into the UFC again, defeats Manel Cape, looked decent, got a split decision win. He's a very talented guy, right? He's good everywhere. His chin is an issue. It's always been an issue. Tim Elliott doesn't really possess the type of power to cause issues for Nicolau. So for me, it's pretty clear that Nicolau is going to win this one by a decision. Tim Elliott is tough. He only loses to the top of the division, and he lost to Davison, the former champion, got submitted by him. No shame in that. It happens. He got beat by arguably the next in line, number 1 contender, Askar Askarov. And he got submitted by Brandon Royval. And I'll give it, well, I love Royval. I'm not going to discredit his win, but Tim Elliott wasn't at his best shape. He kind of blew his wad. He did not look good. Going back to Glory MMA and Fitness with James Krause has really helped Tim Elliott. So there's a possible chance he can ruin this bet for me because I am going to put some money on Nicolau. I think he wins. Just the striking. He's very fast, very fluid. Grappling's good. So I don't think he's going to have any issues with Tim Elliott. But again, Tim Elliott's a grimy motherfucker, man. He can find a way to win. It's just that, the type of competition he's been beating to, not the best. Ryan Benoit and Jordan Espinoza, they're not high caliber fighters, in my opinion. So I think Nicolau wins this one pretty easily. I think he's going to get the decision. I don't see him finishing Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott now, although very tough and could potentially win this one, I don't see him getting finished. It's going to take a lot. If he couldn't get knocked out by Askarov when he essentially was knocked out on his feet, I think that extra punch woke him up. I don't think Nicolau is going to knock him out. Nicolau should easily win this one just by, doing what he does. His striking's pretty solid, stay on the outside, avoid the takedowns. And if it gets to the ground, just, sweep him with his solid jiu-jitsu, and then he should win this one. So, Nicolau decision.
Yeah, I'll keep this one short. I'm also going with Nicolau. I think he'll just beat the funk out of Tim Elliott. Tim's just got that. He just has a habit of losing to, like the top guys. He got the hell beaten out of him by Mighty Mouse. I wouldn't put Ben Noonian up there, but he lost to him. But then he had that streak where he lost to Figueiredo, Askarov, and Royval. And he beat Benoit, but it wasn't Chris Benoit. So that's not really, doesn't say too much. Sure, he beat Espinosa, but I think Nicolau is going to be, that one of those guys again, like top guys that he can, I don't want to say top guys, but I guess there's really no other word for it, that he just has a habit of not being able to get over that hump. You know what I mean? So I'll take Nicolau by decision because Elliott is pretty tough. I don't see him knocking him out or submitting him.
Our next bout, co-main event at welterweight, Rude Boy Randy Brown versus Jared Night Train. Good night train, motherfucker. Currently, the odds have it in favor of. This was what I thought was kind of crazy. Like, what do they know that I don't know? Minus 250 for Randy Brown, come back on Jared Gooden plus 200. Just like, how? What is it? Randy Brown's not minus 200 in my opinion. There's already value on Night Train Gooden right off the bat at those odds, man. I don't know. But yeah, what we've seen recently from both of these guys, he submitted, Rude Boy submitted Alex Oliveira, one armed rear naked choke. Dude's got long arms. I'm not surprised. He got his ass beat by Luque. Warley Alves, that submission was pretty damn nice. He beat Brian Barberena. I hold that fight and that win very high. It's really difficult to finish Brian Barberena. So I respect Rude Boy for that. Night Train Gooden, on the other hand, I understand why he's the underdog, but I also don't understand why he's the underdog. His two performances in the UFC, he comes in and gets his ass beat by Alan Jouban. It was a close fight, but he should have easily knocked out Jouban, and didn't happen. His fight with Abu Bakar, it's always been a tough one for me. Abu Bakar Nurmagomedov, he looked good on the feet for a brief moment. And then it's almost like Abu Bakar was toying with Jared Gooden. It was like, what the fuck's going on with Jared Gooden? Because, I listened to Half the Battle too. Daniel Levy's talking about his boy Jared Gooden, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm on him, right? I'm gonna take a shot on him, and he hadn't looked impressive whatsoever. And when listening to his podcast, the Half the Battle, during the breakdown of him versus Nicholas Stoltze, I was like, man, I got Stoltz, man. Like he's coming in here on short notice against Stoltz. I don't know if he's gonna be able to beat him. Wrecks him. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to check out the podcast, Half the Battle, to see what they say about their boy Jared Gooden. If they say, hey, I'm going to go with him, he looks really good. If they give any inkling that he's going to perform the same way he did, I know he's had some issues that he had to clear up. Boxing, he needs his boxing to be cleaned up. His last fight, he looked like he got that worked on. Knocked out Stoltze, man. He looked incredibly impressive against him. Now he's fighting another guy, similar body type to Nicholas Stoltze, a guy who is known to make some dumb mistakes. He made dumb mistakes against Warley Alves. He made a dumbass mistake against, I don't want to say it was a dumbass mistake against Nico Price. He just kind of left himself exposed. But against the Mickey Gall, he nearly lost that fight against Mickey Gall. So I'm on the Jared Night Train Gooden ride. So I think he's going to knock him out. I'm going to say round number 2, he's going to catch the chin of Randy Brown. We'll see, though. I think, again, just on the sheer value side of that plus 200 on a guy who just came off of a devastating knockout against a guy that's long and tall. I know Randy Brown's very athletic, but that chin has been cracked a lot, especially with, like, I don't know, man, with power punchers like that. Nico Price knocked him out. Vicente Luque knocked him out. Jared Gooden has the power. I think he can knock him out. I'm going to go with him to win second round knockout.
I'm actually going with Rude Boy here. The reason is I think his experience is going to come into play. And his losses have mainly, or his losses and fights where he hasn't done well have mainly come against ground guys. So he has some issues with their like really good ground guys, really top level grapplers, wrestlers, what have you. I don't think Gooden is, that great on the ground. And also, yeah, he also has issues, with Abubakar and Alan. Well, Joban isn't all that great on the ground, but I think Randy's gonna use that to his advantage, and I think he's gonna get into his head during the weigh-in. I think he's gonna whisper, into his ear that Jared's an N-word, and yes, he's gonna call him a no good Nick. And he's going to get into his head, and it's going to mess it up for him and whatnot. But I am taking Randy Brown here. I think it's his ground skills and his physical attributes. Funny enough, he doesn't have all that much reach.
Yeah.
He has the height. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
So 1 inch reach advantage.
1 inch, 1 inch is 1 inch, man. That 1 inch is going to take him to the top. At least it will here. So I'll take Rude Boy over the no good Nick. I'll say by decision. I don't think he'll be able to submit him or knock him out. So I think this is going to decision.
Next bout, main event: Marina Rodriguez versus Mackenzie Dern. What's interesting is that they should spell Mackenzie Dern with 2 D's, and yeah, figure that one out. Interesting bout between 2 ladies, grappler versus striker. Both, I was gonna say both Brazilian. Fuck it, they're both Brazilian. Currently, the odds have it minus 160 for Dern. Comeback on Marina Rodriguez is plus 130, and this one is gonna be fun, man. I think it's perfect that it's 5 rounds. We get to see Mackenzie Dern go all 5 rounds. Marina's got that experience already. We've seen her fight Michelle Roderson. It's going to be a fun one because the Brazilian comes in here, the Brazilian that was born in Arizona. She comes in here with a 4-fight winning streak. She lost to Amanda Ribas, and then since then, Mackenzie Dern has been on a tear. And when I say tear, I mean the same type of tear that she gave Hannah Cyphers with that knee bar, because man, that was like, she is textbook jiu-jitsu. This girl is. She's very good. She is the most dangerous girl in this division when it comes to the ground game, the submissions. She got Randa Marcos in an armbar, defeated Virna Jandiroba, and that's when I started to take notice. Like, man, I think Mackenzie's really, really improving her striking, because I've always been very hesitant to go all in when it comes to Mackenzie because of that striking, but Jason Perillo's really been helping her with that. That Virna Jandiroba fight, that 3rd round, her aggression and her just wildness with the strikes really won her that fight. I was high on Virna in that one. I picked Virna to win. It didn't work out, but it was a really close fight, 2-1 in the favor of Mackenzie Dern. And then she defeats, and I love that Topology has it as Nina Nunes, but she defeats Nina Nunes by armbar. And it was no shit. I think she was an underdog in that fight as well, because the Nunes last name somehow made her a favorite. But maybe I'm mistaken, but I could have sworn that Mackenzie was an underdog because I had her and I picked her and she made me money. Marina Rodriguez, since her loss to Carla Esparza, that split decision loss, devastating for me because I lost money in that fight. I thought she was going to easily beat Carla, but her ground game looked like absolute dog shit. Then she comes back, knocks out Amanda Ribas. But yeah, she got taken down in that fight, eventually gets up, knocks her out like twice in that fight. Michelle Waterson, the later rounds really got a bit weird. I think this is a fight where her face kind of ballooned up a bit. She does slow down. So what I know about these 2 ladies is that we've got an improving striker in Mackenzie Dern with excellent jiu-jitsu against a girl in Marina Rodriguez who has to consistently work on her takedown defense to win a fight. And when she's on her back foot, she does not look great. But when she's going forward, her Muay Thai is fantastic. She's one of the better Muay Thai strikers in the female strawweight division. And by better, I mean the best. This is literally the best striker in the division when it comes to Muay Thai versus the best jiu-jitsu practitioner in the multiple time black belt, Mackenzie Dern. I don't know what level degree she is, but she's goddamn, her black is probably the blackest belt, the blackest belch in the jiu-jitsu. I got to go with Mackenzie Dern because, for one, the takedowns are going to be there. She's going to eventually get a takedown, whether it be one that she drops down for like a double leg against the cage, single leg out in the open. If Marina Rodriguez throws a kick, like a straight teep, she catches it and trips her, gets her down. She is going to find a way to get Marina Rodriguez on the ground. Marina's takedown defense isn't the greatest out there, and that is obviously her one weakness. If Mackenzie wants to strike with her temporarily, I think that's going to be fine for her. It's just a matter of time before she gets on the ground, and once she's on the ground, I don't think Marina is going to have an answer for the onslaught of Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie, I don't want, how can I put it? She's a heavy girl. Like, they're going to weigh the same on Friday, but come Saturday, she's going to be the heavier girl. She has a lot of weight in the front and the back and on her legs. Once she gets on top, it's not going to be good for Marina Rodriguez. And Marina, she's a tall, lanky girl. She's 5'6". She's very thin, right? She is very, very thin. And all I'm saying is that momentum of this thicker girl coming at her, it's not going to bode well for basically the stick that is Marina Rodriguez. I see Dern eventually getting a submission. Now, what are the path of victories for Marina Rodriguez? Obviously, keeping it on the feet, avoiding the clinch at all cost, and if in the clinch, obviously implement knees up the middle, elbows to the side. I don't think Mackenzie Dern is going to get knocked out. I just think there's more upside when it comes to Mackenzie Dern, and the way she wins this one is by submission, either submission or decision. But I do think Mackenzie Dern is going to get that submission. I've been talking way too much about this one, but yeah, Mackenzie Dern, I think, eventually gets her to the ground. Whether she dominates the first, second, or third, come the later rounds, I think Marina's going to be tired and she's going to give up the neck or the arm. But yeah, Mackenzie, I'm going to say third round submission.
The more I looked at this fight, the more I thought about it, the more that I think this was appropriately set to be the main event of this card, of this, fairly lackluster card. I think it's going to, showcase, as you covered, possibly the best Muay Thai practitioner against the, what she's mainly known for her jiu-jitsu, but her striking is coming along. She's not going to beat who's a champ. If she challenged Rose, in her next bout, she's not going to beat Rose in striking, or maybe even Joanna or Weili for that fact. I think those three are the best. They're going to play round robin with the title, I think. But anyway, but like I said, her striking is coming along. But by far, her bread and butter is jiu-jitsu. So Marina knows this, and I think she's going to be a little bit hesitant with her striking, knowing that if she goes to the ground, she's as good as a sitting duck. Even though I like Marina, I like her style, but she showed that against what's that girl's name? Carla Esparza, wrestle fucked her into a loss. And I was like, geez, she's just a turtle on her back. So unless she's been, really working that jiu-jitsu defense, takedown defense, yeah, you put it correctly. Mackenzie's built like a fire hydrant. She's got a lot of weight in the front and the back and the thighs, and probably the teeth. No, just the thighs.
Oh,
just
Jesus.
Yeah. No, she's cool. She's pretty awesome. But yeah, she's built like a fire hydrant, man. She, all that 115 pounds, she's gonna be like, you know, probably a welterweight come fight night. Um, and she is, let's see, let me think it through. She gets her to the ground, takes her back. She's probably gonna get either a rear naked, or maybe an arm bar, I would say.
Dude,
Probably in
I would
the
not be surprised if she gets a heel hook or a knee bar with those long legs of Marina. That's what I'm
Oh yeah,
thinking.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Dude,
Yeah.
she's so freaking dangerous on the ground.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, but I think she's probably going to take her back. I mean, unless Marina, scrambles and yeah, it's a very good possibility she might get a heel hook, or even a knee bar maybe. Um, but I think more than likely she's going to she's going to get her back, get her in a rear naked or maybe even an arm bar. That'll be pretty awesome. But yeah, it's going to remind Marina, hey, your striking is fine. Don't worry about your striking. You need to do like Valentina and go around to different gyms, train jiu-jitsu, see what other people are up to. Don't just stay stale, in your own gym, kind of like a lot of these girls do. They don't bother upgrading, the skills that they're not. In other words, they don't bother rounding out their skills. I just hope that isn't Marina. I hope she's been working on some of that. But anyway, going with Mackenzie. I'll be adding her. I'll probably do a small parlay and I'll be adding her to it. And maybe I'll sprinkle a little bit on that submission prop. But yeah, that's it for me.
Well, let's talk about our possible bets and parlays. I got
Sure.
my little I have my local casino. They have a little website that kind of gives me their odds based on what they think Vegas is going to have. So what I think right now, which would be like my base for my parlay, would be Alexander Romanov and Phil Hawes. So with those two, currently they have it at minus 400 for Romanov. Come back on Phil Hawes is minus 278. That gives me a minus 143. So that's not too bad as like a base for what I'm probably going to do. So like for reference, I don't know, so $20 will get me 14 in return, $100, 70 in return. So that might be my main starting base. From then, I might add Chris Gutierrez, which gives me plus 131. I'm going to go a little stupid here, but I'm going to add Lupita Godinez, gives me 247 plus. And then Mackenzie Dern. What does that give me? Plus 472. That might be the one that I do. I don't know how much I'm going to put down on it just because, more people, more risk with the legs. But I like that, primarily doing the Romanov and Phil Haas. I think those are the lower risk level. And then, of course, if you start playing around with, like, I don't know, Phil Haas by knockout or Alexander Romanov by TKO knockout, obviously that'll give you a better idea and better odds. Right now, they don't give me those from this website, but yeah, I think that might be the way I'm going to go about it. I'm not too positive though, but that's kind of what my mind is going with. Oh, and of course, I'm going to add Sabina Mazo, and yeah, that's definitely going to win. Actually, just to fuck around, adding Sabina Mazo puts it up to 827. But god damn, I'm not touching that one. I've learned my lesson. But yeah, I think those five: Mackenzie Dern, Godinez, Gutierrez, Phil Haas, and Alexander Romanov is my potential pick. And then I might do a couple, stupid ass ads on here. I might even do a slight plus 245 bet on Charlie to win by maybe a knockout or something. Who knows? We'll see. But that's my thoughts. What are you thinking?
Let's see. I'm actually looking it over right now. Nicolau. Yeah, we went with Nicolau. Damon Jackson, Randy Brown. Oh damn, I got 9 picks. Wow, I didn't think I'd have that many. All right. So as far as my picks, I'm going by the my bookie sports book. Let's see, if I do a 10, I'll probably and I probably will end up doing some. Anyway, these are my picks. I'm gonna do one several parlays, but I'm going to include several of these fighters. So I'm going to mix it up. So I'm going to be going with Dern, Romanov, Lupita Godinez, Jamie Pickett, Chris Gutierrez, Phil Hawes, Nicolau, Steve Garcia, Damon Jackson, and Randy Brown. Now, if I go with all these 10, the odds are plus 7088. So 7,088, which means $1 would return $70.88, which is fine. Now, I'm not going to place a giant bet on that 10-person parlay, but I'll make that, the base for any parlays that I do. And this isn't a really great card to bet, to be quite honest. So I'll be doing like $5 parlays, and I'll mix it up with those, some of those fighters, depending on the odds. I'll let the picks stew for a bit, but those are my 10 picks. Because usually it's the it's for the most part, it's the lesser known fighters who don't have very many fights in the UFC, if any, or like the debutantes that end up fucking me over. Sometimes it's just just fighters who you expect to do really well, they don't do well, fuck you over. But overall, that's how I kind of go about it, and I'll end up doing a $5 or $10 parlay on all those 10 picks. And then if one of those fights screws up my parlay, I just gather up the remaining picks and I do a parlay there. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like tonight, man, it was the main event that kind of, it was razor thin. And I thought, shit, Johnny Walker's going to pull it off. But they gave it to Maheta. Last night, they gave it to MVP.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, sometimes it's that main event that gets you, man. But so far, I think we've been doing fairly well recently on the main events for the most part. The cards have been okay, but I'm like, wait a second, man, I should have gone in on all these main events. I would have made I would have made a lot just on the main events themselves. But these parlays are exciting, man, because it's like, you have, at a minimum, if you put, a 2-person parlay, you're like, oh man, these 2 fights have to win, so it makes the event all that much more exciting, where you're on the edge of your seat, even if it's not an exciting fight per se, but having some skin in the game, you're like, oh man, this guy, it's like, oh, get up, or yeah, kick him, come on. You're like, it just adds, a level of excitement. So anyway, that's what I got.
Yeah, well, those have been our picks for this fight night, Dern versus Rodriguez. Please, once again, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. That's been Johnny and Jose with Tiger Bomb MMA, and we'll catch you at the next fight.